few days ago, I was texting with my two sons in Omaha, and texting about life. And the two of them were replying to me when I texted and said, "Well, that is very crazy." Crazy or craziness, as we text back and forth. "Oh, wow, that is crazy," and pretty much saying that is insane. That's some dynamics that we talk about different things, and they just keep saying, I wonder if they knew what exactly being crazy is all about. Right? Now, let me ask you, have you ever done something that made others wonder if you have lost your mind? Yeah, I have. Have you? If so, you can somehow perhaps come to understand what's going on here in Mark chapter 3, especially verse 21. These particular events that comes to us in the third book and the third chapter of Mark, it is an indication of the beginning of Jesus' ministry. Perhaps, Mark is taking the time to emphasize and to define this man called Jesus. And uniquely selecting events in the life of Jesus to bring them down to us as we read today's gospel reading. Mark it was part of the 12 that Jesus selected to become his disciples, his personal followers. He was part of that group that were engaged or participating in the life of this man called the Messiah, the one that it was bringing to them the sense of the reality of the kingdom of God. They were able to see, to taste the fact that this man was different. There was something special about him from the beginning. So we had a sense of that particular understanding from the disciples, but at the same time, I get the sense of the feeling that they were not completely there with Jesus. They saw him in action, healing those who came to him with certain illness. He was able to cast out demons and those who were possessed, those who were in an issue of separation. He brought a sense of wholeness to the people. So they were involved. And according to Mark here, when Jesus finally went home to Nazareth, he went home, and there the crowd were following him, and they came to the point where they gathered around the house. Can you imagine this? Perhaps a small house filled with over the crowd was in the front of the house, and they're not able to eat. The people were rushing him in, and Mark is saying it was impossible for him and his disciples to eat. So those are the circumstances that take place in the life of this Jesus that came to transform the world. Some of the people were able to catch the vision of that sense of order in the life of the kingdom of God. They came to the point that to follow this man means obedience. To follow Jesus means dedication. To follow this man means love and compassion. To follow this man means the reality of a new life. Perhaps a new position, a new sense of determination, a new reality that is captivated by the fact that he came to demonstrate the love of God and God's people. The Pharisees were not completely there. They thought of Jesus, he's being used by the devil. He has Beelzebul. Whoa. And he is controlling him. What he's doing on behalf of the devil. And they were prescribing direction to the people, asking the people, do not believe in him. Do not follow him. Because what he's doing is really bringing ugliness to our religion. He's bringing something completely different to what we are all about, they thought. So Jesus not only heard what they were saying, he knew them. He knew them personally. He knew where the Pharisees were coming from. They completely got it wrong. They were so holy and thou that they missed the point. That they completely went the other way when Jesus was calling them, asking them to walk the right path of righteousness. They decided, no. And they rejected him. By their own sense of holiness and righteousness, by their own sense of religion, in the name of religion, they will say no to Jesus. So, in this particular moment in the life of Jesus, and here in chapter 3, we had dynamics of the people that they were coming with a certain spiritual hunger, if you will, seeking solutions in their life. They brought their need to Jesus. They're not asking the Pharisees to heal them. They're not asking the Pharisees to do anything. They're coming to Jesus and they're grouping around Jesus and they, because they knew very well that Jesus did have the right answer to give. And he was the one sent by God. Even though they're still not completely there with their understanding, they knew that something completely different was given to this man called Jesus. Interesting that Mark will say that in this particular moment in Jesus' ministry, his family was concerned because they heard that he has lost his mind. Oh my goodness. Jesus is going crazy to the terms that, when your child will do something at school or whatever, and they come to you and they will tell you about your son or your daughter, they will say, wow, your daughter or your son had done something horrible. And you go and you find out that was almost nothing to it. People tend to emphasize that it was horrendous what they did. So here we have a sense of those people proclaiming that he was crazy. He has lost his mind. And perhaps they came running to Mary and the brothers and sisters saying, Jesus is local. Go see what's happening. So here we go. Here comes his family and they encounter all these people in the front of the house and they say, how can we get to our son? We need to safeguard our son because apparently he is going the other way. That's exactly what we do with our children, right? I remember going to high school when my sons were there. Especially one of my two sons, he gave me hassles. and he was really very good at it. I remember going there, and the first thing I don't know, I need to talk to him before I go to see the officials, because I need to find out what's going on. So I put him over before in some occasions say, tell me what happens. Well, they say, that I had done something wrong, but you know better. I knew him better than that. So, but he started to justify what he did, but under the basis of, So what's the big deal? So going into the office, and I knew very well, and I heard the principal saying details, and I went home and I said, but the story and the principal's story are two different things. Do not come together. Can you tell me the truth? I told you the truth. Believe it or not. So that was his attitude. He knew very well how to handle his own personal circumstances. But the fact is that I knew who he is, and I love my son. But he has a personality that sometimes I think like he's going crazy on me. And this is what perhaps Mary and his brothers and Jesus' brothers and sisters are seeing. Our brother or sister or our son is going crazy. But my brothers and sisters, I think what Jesus is doing in this particular part of his ministry is convincing the people to know that he is coming to the world to create a sense of craziness. Right? For you and me to follow as crazy people. When I was part of the college in Puerto Rico, a friend of mine, a good Christian guy, asked me on one occasion to go in Puerto Rico, in Bayamón, in El Cantón, go there. This big city, that particular area, it was a big no-no. It was a danger. It's like a downtown Chicago. So this guy asked me, we should go downtown Bayamón to proclaim the gospel. I said, what? Yeah, we should go down there and preach. I say, I'm not sure. I mean, I was a pastor's son, I was almost 21 years old. I knew better. To go downtown and try to preach to those people down there? No way. And one day, he keep insisting. And one day, you say, okay, let's go down, And I did have my reservation. This is not going to work out. We go see, we're going to chase it out. So we went to this particular corner, and he was very good. He was preaching, and he knew his Bible, and he was quoting, and people, and I was back there watching him and saying, I'm going to take off this way. But, I noticed that people were paying attention to what he had to say. And they were coming over and listening to him, and he was going, and we passed, all those get saved flag that we used to pass, and people were taking it, and he was preaching us. I said, hey, this is pretty good. This guy is kind of crazy, but it's good. Crazy to do it, but it's making sense. He is responding to the call of proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of where you might be, regardless of what the conditions you are called to proclaim it. And that is being out of your mind. That is exactly a position of craziness. To follow Jesus means that we have to be crazy about who he is. Amen? That we have to be crazy about who he is, because that is the only way for us to really understand what he's all about. My definition of Jesus is that he came to this world and he created a sense of direction, a new hope, and my goodness, he did it. And that is what he is proclaiming here this morning. When he said, finally connect, when the people came and said, hey, listen, your mom and your sisters and your brothers are looking for you. He knew who Mary was. He knew very well who his brothers and sisters were. So here he's saying to those who came, he said, who is my brother? Who is my mother? And who is my sister? He knew his family, but now he's extending the sense of that family to the facts that he said to those who came. My brother and my mother and my sister will be who? The one who will do the will of God. Boom. There's no limitations in the grace of God in the life of Jesus Christ. It's not only content to a few. It is the manifestation and the magnitude of the presence of God that's going beyond just the rhythm of family. And just not only the sense of who people in Redeemer are. The whole world is captivated by the fact that he said, those who follow the will of God will be my brothers and my sisters. Those will be the one who's really will change the world. That's the one that's going to bring holiness to those who are in need. It's the one who's really advocating for the one who is being done justless. I read part of what this preacher wrote, and I'm going to close with this. He said, in light of this craziness of who Jesus is, he said, if Jesus was in fact crazy, we need a lot more crazy Christians in the world. We need a lot crazy Christians in the world. Jesus needs us to be crazy about who he is. Thanks be to God, now and forever. Amen.